My name is Anne Flynn Schlicht. I'm the Assistant Director here at the Center for Women's Entrepreneurship at Chatham University in Pittsburgh, PA. And I'm delighted to have Valerie Patrick here with me this afternoon. Valerie's the CEO of Fulcrum Connection. And we're going to spend a bit of time talking about Valerie's business and why she started her business and where she plans to take it. So Valerie, welcome. Delighted to have you here.
Thank you.
And one of the first things I wanted to start with our discussion today was, what motivated you to start your own business?
Well, I can say it wasn't self-motivation because I never really considered myself as the type of person to start my own business. I'd have to say it was more about serendipity.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just give a little context to explain that. I'm actually a trained chemical engineer, and my career choice, I wanted a technical career where I could help improve quality of living. So out of school, I joined a big chemical company and was planning on a technical career. But as it turned out, early in my career, I moved away from technical positions and more into business positions.
Okay.
So I spent my first 8 years with Monsanto in technical positions of increasing responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And then my next 17 years with Bayer in strategic projects of increasing organizational scope. So back to serendipity, as can happen with a big company, some big changes came that impacted me quite a bit. One was my boss at the time, Mr. Greg Babe, who was CEO, decided to retire. A second that happened within 2 weeks was my executive sponsor. At the time, I was leading Bayer's sustainability program for North America operations, and this was the executive sponsor for the sustainability program. That was Dr. Bob Kumpf. He decided to leave the company for another opportunity. And one of the things that really became glaring to me during that time was the need for organizations just to get better at collaboration. And I realized going through that transition that need had always been there with our organization being a science and company, but that I had been in positions where I could help fill that need. I had the opportunity to help fill that need. And it was clear in my current position and the way things were going that I wasn't going to have the opportunity to fill that need. So then I started thinking about, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And as serendipity would have it, an announcement came out at that time, just as I was, wrestling with this, announcing a voluntary separation package. So I thought I must be meant to take this, so I did. And I got in contact with a career consultant that I had used on and off over my 25 years to have her help me figure out what was next for me. And in working together with her, we both stumbled upon a group called the International Association of Facilitators. They're a trade organization, and they have a certification program. And I just felt it was right. So I just decided to take the certification, become a certified professional facilitator. And again, as serendipity would have it, and at the time I was still working at Bayer, finishing out my tenure with them. But as serendipity would have it, there was an employee who was terminally ill working on a special project, and they needed my help. So I got involved in the special project, and it turned out that I could put my new facilitation skills to use in this project. And that's when I learned that I loved it. I got so much joy out of working on that project, doing the facilitation, really good feedback about how I did the facilitation. And I think that was the moment where the motivation to start a company doing that actually occurred.
That's wonderful. So, wonderful.
Yeah.
So what is the need that you fulfill? You talked about the need there a while ago. What is this need that you fulfill in the marketplace?
So I called it collaboration, but really what it is about is performance improvement through collaboration. The performance improvement can be inside the company or outside the company, and it can manifest itself in all sorts of different ways. And I'm really focused on science and technology companies because I think that's where the need for improving collaboration really comes. I know in my own technical training, we do teamwork, but you don't really develop the skills of collaboration, which really go beyond teamwork and coordination to actually really inventing something with other people. You don't really develop those skills or learn about collaboration. So, the ways that this need can look, it could look like anything from a dysfunctional or poorly performing team that's working on something very important, and they have to be high performing. So that would be an example of the need not being filled. Or it could look like a team or a department that has been performing satisfactorily for a long, long time, but because of some sort of catalyst needs to step up their performance. And that catalyst could be market forces, or it could be a new strategy, as an example. Or the need could look like, an organizational inefficiency. All organizations have processes that could work much better. And the organizational efficiency could be some inefficiency. It could be something that's been around for a long, long time. And it's just a matter of pulling together the people who are impacted by that inefficiency to be able to address the inefficiency. And I think that a lot of times these things persist. The need is out there and not getting filled because people are just too busy and going on to the next thing. And the irony is that, if you could address some of these inefficiencies, that would free up more time, and people would be less busy. But
so what steps did you take to get your business up and going?
Well, there were a lot of steps. It probably started with my career consultant.
Okay.
She started her own business as a coach. So she had some personal experience there. And one of the first things she talked to me about that really helped her when she was starting her business was a Center for Women's Entrepreneurship that she found in Boston, which is where her business is located. So she suggested I look and see if something like that existed in Pittsburgh. So as my friend Andrew Winston would say, I did some deep research. I Googled it. I Googled it, and I found Chatham's Center for Women's Entrepreneurship.
I'm delighted we turned up on Google. Yes, that's great.
I didn't know anything about it until she had mentioned it. And I went on the website and I found a wonderful webinar about how to write a business plan.
Okay.
So I took the webinar, and in there they had a outline of a business plan. And being that I'm an engineer and I'm very organized and I like to plan, I sat down and I wrote a very rough first business plan.
First
just to
draft.
kind of get my thoughts down about what I wanted to do. And after doing that, I had the confidence to start talking to other people about what I wanted to do. So I sought out my sister-in-law, who is a graphic designer, and I described to her what I wanted to do. It was in the summer, I remember, because we were with them at the lake on vacation, very relaxing. And I described to her what I wanted to do, and she listened, and she said, "You should name your company Leverage." Just from the description. So I got on GoDaddy when I got home to get my domain name, and I couldn't get Leverage. I mean, it was
common term.
So I thought about, well, what else is leverage? And I came up with fulcrum, which is a leverage point to lift a heavy weight. So I thought,
that's right.
It's sciencey. I sort of like that. So, but I couldn't get fulcrum. So then I thought, well, I really want to do the collaboration piece. So I tried Fulcrum Connection, and I was able to get that. So I had my name. So that was a big step. The other thing I learned about in the webinar was legal entities. So I talked to my career consultant about that, and pretty much decided to form an LLC for Fulcrum Connection. And I decided to use LegalZoom for that, to keep that simple. Also, while I was on the website, I learned about the Women's Leaders Breakfast Series. And they happen once a month, so I put in my calendar when the next one was going to be. And I just showed up. I really didn't know what I was doing. But you guys took good care of me,
Do you remember who the speaker was?
I don't remember who the speaker was. But maybe you would know the speaker. I think the topic was... I think it was a microbrewery as a topic. Maybe that was the first one
it was. Maybe it was we have the co-owners of Penn Brewery here in Pittsburgh.
That's a more recent one.
Linda,
but
and Sandra.
Yeah. But it was, what I remember was talking about the challenges, the really open sharing, really good discussion, and meeting a lot of people. I mean, what I was really impressed with was I had several people come up to me and pitch their business. Very well professionally, and I thought, well, I can't do that right now. But so that was a learning even there. But while I was,
so you would practice before you came the next time.
The next time, I wasn't prepared that time, but for the next time. But while I was there, I learned about my business basics, or small business basics, I think it was called, which was a one-day Saturday program that was coming up in a couple of weeks. I signed up for that, very inexpensive, and I knew there were more things that I had to learn. I mean, even though I had spent 25 years.
That's a good workshop. It goes through the basics of business, finance, planning, legal, and marketing. Our center has offered it for years, twice a year, with SCORE and the SBA.
It was a really good experience for me because even though I have 25 years of corporate experience, I don't learn all the different parts of the business that I need to. I just learn the parts where I've been working. So it was a good overview of all the different things I needed to learn. One of the things I was most grateful for was learning about Bookminders, which offers services to help you get up and running in accounting. That was very scary to me, doing that piece of the business. But also learning about some of the different legal aspects I needed to think about. And also just all the unknown things about marketing and setting price. I think it was a good overview for me to realize all the different aspects I needed to think about, but it was also a wake-up call of I still had a lot to learn, to figure out before proceeding. A lot I didn't know. But fortunately, while I was there, I learned about the My Business Startup class.
The 12-week program, yes.
12-week program, and you meet nightly, once a week for 12 weeks. And if you keep up with the homework, which I did, I was motivated to do that, you actually complete a business plan over that time, much more refined than the really rough one I had developed before that. And you also get assigned a consultant.
That's right.
And as long as you keep up with the work, the consultant will review your pieces of your business plan as you're putting it together and give you really good input because the consultant has started their own business, so they have that experience to lend to you. But I mean, there's so many skills I learned in that class, like how to really do good market research, how to set price, different strategies for setting price, different marketing strategies. I mean, for me, it was like a mini MBA, and trained as an engineer, I really needed it.
Okay.
And like I said before, just being able to learn about all the different things that I hadn't otherwise encountered. So that was a really important part of me putting the business together. And it also made me realize that for my target market, that I needed to have a professional logo and a professional website. So when I financed my business, that's where I really put my first money, was in a web designer.
Into that, yeah. So tell me a bit more about how do you differentiate yourself? How are you different from your competitors, and how do you reach your customers?
Well, I would say there are two primary types of competitors that I compare myself to. So one would be other certified professional facilitators like me. And when I did my research on what other certified professional facilitators are doing, I realized that very few, in fact none in my region, have a technical background, are technically trained. And this is an important differentiator for me because I want to work with technical and science companies. And not only is it important for me to be able to speak the language of scientists, but I need to be able to very quickly understand the technical context for where I'm trying to help in order to be able to really add value. So that's important, and I think the technical training is very important to that. The other type of competitor I would compare myself to would be other consulting companies, and particularly large consulting companies. And based on my experience at Bayer, where I did have to work with large consulting companies, I learned pretty early on that you really needed to understand what your objective was, what was your end game, what was it that you were really trying to accomplish when you work with a big consultant. Otherwise, you end up spending a lot more money and a lot more time than you really need to or than you planned on. So I see my business as complementary to that. I can help companies figure out what it is they need to work on and pull in the right people so they can do a really good job figuring that out, so that if you do need to outsource additional work, you will do that in a smart way.
Very good, very good. And the customers you have so far, how have you captured those?
Well, I have been fortunate. I guess I could say
You've
serendipity
had a lot of luck.
again.
Yes.
I've so far my customers have come to me. Although I know that that's not sustainable, I am going to have to do some marketing and reach out to my target market soon to maintain the business. But my first customer was that special project that I mentioned that I worked on at Bayer. They hired me after I completed my work at Bayer. My second customer was actually through my network, a former Bayer executive who had heard I had gone into business for myself, hired me, and I'm still doing some work with them. My third client was Bayer, which actually wasn't expected. I wasn't marketing to them, but it worked out great. And then my most recent customer actually found me through the internet, through my website.
Wow.
So so that's been working well. But I'm getting ready, for next year. I really need to build my client base beyond those first 4 customers. So I've done 2 things. One is I've reviewed my whole network. I gathered up all the business cards I've collected over the years, and I've prioritized prospects in terms of, how well people know me, people I've worked with. I prioritize hire and who really fits my target market. And the second thing I've done is I do want to do some in-person cold marketing visits, if you will. Obviously call them first and set up an appointment, but so I've drawn a circle with a 300-mile radius around Pittsburgh, and I've done research in that area, and I've identified 141 different science and technology companies that I think would be really good prospects. And it turns out in drawing that circle, that actually cuts through 11 states and 31 cities. So Pittsburgh is actually a really nice location. And, with that 300-mile radius, for me, that's in driving distance, so I can keep my my costs down.
Very good.
Acquiring new clients.
So that's one of your plans for going forward for 2015 is really to target new clients. Any other plans?
I have a couple things coming up. One is I have I'm going to be doing a keynote address for the National Biodiesel Board in January.
Wow.
I'm excited about it. This is on January 20th in Fort Worth, Texas. The biodiesel industry, I think, are one of our unsung heroes of our time because they're working on reducing greenhouse gas emissions, which helps to mitigate against man-made global warming. So it's an industry I feel very strongly about, and they need to grow and really increase their impact. So I'm looking forward to giving them some ideas about how they might do that. Of course, I'll talk about collaboration, and my working title is Collaborate to be Great
I like
for that keynote. And then I have a couple new services under development, and I'm planning a website upgrade. I just have the basic website now, but I'm planning a website upgrade to be able to offer these services. So one is a team collaboration assessment tool that I've just completed, which allows a team to assess how they're doing, how they're working together, and then gives them very specific recommendations on how they can improve on areas that they need to improve on. Another service is my coaching service, which I really haven't done too much of yet, but I want to make that available to sign up for that online to be able to provide that. So this could be for any kind of technical employees who have some challenges in terms of trying to get some things done in the organization that takes the cooperation or collaboration of other people, or just want to develop their skills in terms of being really effective in collaborative environments. And then the third service I'm working on is something I've just started, so this is going to take a little bit longer until it's offered, but I'm working on a training class. It's how to thrive on a steep learning curve. It's something I think I've spent my career doing. I'm really excited about that, getting that put together and offering that.
Very good, very good. So just to wrap up our discussion today, I wanted to finish on a fun question, which is just to talk about what has been the most fun part of starting your business, and then what has been the most difficult part.
Well, that's half fun, I guess.
Yes, half fun. Yes, okay.
Okay, well, the most fun I have to say has been making money, and it's not
true
that
entrepreneur.
it's not that I didn't make money as in the corporate environment. It was just different. I kind of felt like my paycheck was a little disconnected from my contribution.
Mm-hmm.
I got a regular paycheck and bonus and all that, but just it was a little disconnected from my contribution. And now what's really rewarding is that I have to, put a proposal together, say, here's what my contribution is going to be, and put a price tag on that, and then get agreement like, yeah, okay, that's worth it. That's worth that money, and that's just very rewarding when I get the yes on the proposal. The other part that's been really fun is a little bit of what I talked about. I have more time to be creative, developing these new services than I felt I did in my corporate career, and that's been really fun for me, just to kind of let the imagination go a little bit and develop some things that I think will really be helpful to grow science and technology businesses. Difficult stuff. Top of my list is accounting and financing.
Okay.
I have to say, I got a lot of help from my business startup class on that. Because of that class, it was really the first time I really understood what the different financial statements mean, why they're so important to monitor for your business, even how to create them. I've always found that very confusing, and the class really straightened that for me. And you need to have very sound, bookkeeping as a basis for that. So that's been a challenge. Bookminders has helped me make that easy with the right tools, and I'm hoping next year to be able to work with them more, either quarterly or even monthly, to help me with managing the books and giving me more time for the business. So that would be great. That would be a good milestone for me. Another thing that's been an unexpected difficulty was corporate business taxes. I didn't realize that because I have clients in different states and in different cities even. Sometimes there's new taxes that you have to pay as a result of that. So that's becoming something I have to manage as well.
It's part of the learning curve.
It's part of the learning curve. And I think the last thing it's really unique to me is being on my own, and my tendency to just, I'd love to just sit in my home office and write my blog and develop my tools. But, you can't do that when you're running a business. You have to interact with the market. You have to get out there. You have to make sure your services are staying relevant. You have to identify opportunities for new services that are going to add value. And you only do that by being out and interacting with people. So that's something that's been a challenge for me, that I have to just get myself to make sure I'm getting out there enough. The right balance. I have all the bookkeeping and stuff I've got to do, and I have to do that in my office. But I've got to balance out with getting out enough and staying connected to the market.
Wow. Well, Valerie, this has been wonderful. I've learned a lot about your business today, and I'd like to thank you for coming to Chatham to do this interview with us today. And we wish you the very best for your business, and we hope to see you back here at our center events for 2015.
I will definitely be back. I've learned a lot from the center. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Had a lot of fun.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's so weird when